A few weeks ago, I made a video about watching every episode of classic Doctor Who from the start. But there's like 700 episodes, which is a lot. What if you just want to skip to the good ones? Well, I'm watching them all, so you don't have to. In the first of a series of videos, I'll be going through every story from every Doctor, telling you which ones you have to watch and which ones you can safely skip. Starting with the first Doctor, William Hartnell. So we start with An Unearthly Child. Now, if you've never seen the first ever episodes of Doctor Who, then you really should, because it's where it all began. The next 3 episodes are not as essential. They're all about cavemen trying to make fire. So if you struggle with them, you can easily skip to the end of episode 4 without missing much. Then we have the first ever Dalek story. I mean, it's not one of the best, but it is the series that put Doctor Who on the map. So for historical reasons and all, it's a must-watch. Edge of Destruction is 2 episodes with just the regular cast and the TARDIS. If you just want monsters in action, then you can skip it. But if that's what you want, you'll be very disappointed with most of the 60s stories. This has some much needed character development for the regular cast, so I would say it's essential viewing. And it's only 2 episodes after all. Then we come to Marco Polo. Like many of the episodes from the black and white era, this one is missing from the archives, so you can't actually watch it anymore. You can listen to the soundtrack while looking at photographs, but it's not really the same. Which is something die-hard fans will be used to, but for a lot of people it may be a bridge too far. There is a cut-down version of the story on this DVD box set, so if you just want to know what happens, then this may be the way to go. So we have The Keys of Marinus. I quite like this one actually, a lot of people don't, but it's much better paced than most of the 60s stories. Every episode there's a new setting, new cast of characters, which gives it something at the pace of modern Doctor Who. Skip it if you like, but you'll be missing out. Next we have The Aztecs. 60s Doctor Who did rather a lot of pure historical stories with no aliens or monsters in them, and if you only watch one of them, this should probably be it. The unique setting is well realised, and there's plenty for the regular cast to do. And there's plenty of solid drama, as the crew try and fail to change history. A must watch. Then we have The Sensorites, 6 episodes long, really dull, skip it. Next we have The Reign of Terror. This has 2 missing episodes, but on the DVD they've been animated, so you can still follow the story. Which is a good thing, as the story does drag on a bit, so changing from live action to animation does help to keep your interest. It is still a bit dull though, so skip it if you like. Planet of Giants. This was so good they decided to cut an episode before it went out. It's a good idea for the story, but rather overambitious for the time. It's certainly interesting to watch, but you're probably better off skipping it. Next we have The Dalek Invasion of Earth. Obviously this is another must watch. It's way better than the first Dalek story. There's plenty of good action scenes, and there's even an emotional ending, as the Doctor's granddaughter decides to stay behind. The Rescue introduces a new companion, Vicky, so if you're at all interested in watching every time a companion enters or leaves the show, then this is for you. I mean, it's only 2 episodes long, but it's not that good, so really hard to recommend. Then we have The Romans. This is another historical, but this one's played as a comedy. And in my opinion, it still holds up. It's a very funny, very entertaining romp. If you skip this, you'll be missing out. Then we have The Web Planet. This is absolutely terrible. Skip it. Next is The Crusade. Half of this is missing. The episodes that do exist are actually pretty good, but until they animate the other 2, I'd probably recommend you skip it. Next we have The Space Museum. The first episode of this is actually pretty good, but the rest of it is a bit of a letdown, so skip it. The Chase. Another Dalek story, but instead of another epic, it's more of a comedy runaround, and the comedy elements in this one have not really stood the test of time. But it is quite an important story, as it gets rid of the original companions, Ian and Barbara, and introduces the new companion, Stephen. So for lots of reasons you kind of have to watch it, even though it's not really very good. Next up it's The Time Meddler. This is the first time you see the Doctor meeting the Time Lord. He's not the Master, but he is a very naughty boy. And luckily it's a good story as well, so a definite must watch. Next we come to Galaxy 4. Most of this is missing, and the episodes that aren't are pretty rubbish, so you just skip it. Mission to the Unknown. This is just 1 episode. It is missing, but there's a live action recreation of it on YouTube, so you may as well watch it, because it might encourage people to make more live action recreations of all the missing episodes. Wouldn't that be nice? The Mythmakers is next. This is also missing, which is a shame as it sounds like a really good script. If you can handle reconstructions, then this is about as good as the missing stories get. So watch it in whatever version you can find. Next is the Dalek Master Plan. This is an epic 12-part story. Most of it is missing, but because it's got the Daleks in, I'm sure they'll get around to animating it eventually. Possibly in time for the 60th anniversary, who knows. But until they do, you can probably get away with skipping it. It's very long and very slow, and there's lots of daft comedy interludes. The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve. Another missing story, but like the Mythmakers, it does sound like a very good story. So, again, if you can handle reconstructions, give it a go. The Ark, not missing, ironically, because it's very dull. Skip it. The Celestial Toymaker. This is mostly missing, but the episode that's left is not very good. You may be tempted to seek this one out because of rumours that the character's coming back at some point, but it's very dated in lots of ways and doesn't really hold up to 21st century viewing. The Gunfighters. A lot of people don't like this one. It was regularly voted as one of the worst Doctor Who stories ever, until Chris Chibnall took over the series, that is. And then all bets were off. I quite enjoyed it myself, but I can see why others wouldn't. It's a fun experiment, but skip it if you like. The Savages. Missing. And it doesn't sound like anything special for the reconstructions, so just skip it. The War Machines. This is the first Doctor Who story that's actually set in present-day London, and the only one where the first Doctor does it. So it's definitely a change of pace. And apart from anything else, there's another turnover of companions. So it's definitely worth a look. Then we have the Smugglers. Again, missing. Again, doesn't sound like anything special. Again, skip it. Finally, we have the 10th Planet. The first appearance of the Cybermen. And the last appearance of William Hartnell. The last episode is still missing, but it's been animated, so you can still enjoy the whole story. It's certainly not one of the best Cybermen stories, and far from the best William Hartnell story. But still, as the end of an era, I'd say it's definitely a must-watch. So that's what I think. Let me know if you agree in the comments. I've still got the last few Patrick Troughton stories left to watch. So when I've got through them, there'll be a very similar video about the second Doctor. And I'll link to it here. So subscribe if you don't want to miss it. Press like if you like this video. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.